Thank
Saturday night,
Thank
busy
you.
night, and Gary Nalbandian. I think our phone went disconnected for some reason. I would like to introduce you to our audience to begin with. You're the candidate for the sheriff, the seat that is going to be available in November or January.
The election will be June 3rd,
Okay, June 3rd is the pre-election.
the primary election.
A primary election, and then after whoever is left, two runners, it's going to be in November.
Two runners will go to the general election in November.
Okay, I would like to little bit emphasize on the issues of the difference that you are going to make in the sheriff department. What are you willing to change? What is needed to be changed?
The biggest thing is be able to build the public trust back up again. The public need to understand that the law enforcement is an organization that you can trust and come to us with your problems.
Right, and what are some of the problems?
The problems are our inability for the sheriff's department to understand the community. So the biggest thing I need to do is make sure that I build a bridge to the community, and the community then tells the problems that they might have. And those problems might be harassment in school for the children, drugs, gangs, but I need to know what the community wants so I can hear from them, so I can give them the service that they deserve.
And Gary, what role are you playing in this?
Well,
you're a former chief. As a former chief, you want to you're basically supporting.
I'm
Bob.
a proud Lebanese Armenian, and I've worked with Bob for years. He's a most respectable guy. Is an ethical person, and I'm supporting him for sheriff of LA County.
You know what is important right now? Armenians all over the world, especially. I know you're not aware of because you've been busy with your campaign, but you'll be working with our community, and our community is in great danger in diaspora right now. There is a second genocide being prepared on the Armenians. How would you react? How would you act? And how would you help the Armenians all over the world? Because your position will be one of the strongest positions in the world.
Absolutely. It's going
As a law enforcement.
Absolutely. As a chief law enforcement officer of LA County, it's going to be one of the top law enforcement officers in the entire nation.
Right.
There's a lot of influence I can bring to the table. There's a lot of influence I can go ahead and bring to the state of California, and then work with the federal government to go ahead and end any atrocities that might be occurring, just as you say.
Yeah, because right now there is great atrocity going on our former homeland, which is Kesab. It's been occupied by Turkish rebels. All these jihadists, they're killing people. And they've emptied our city, our town, historic town. And I'm sure as a major law enforcement, you would have the opportunity to address that to the federal level.
Oh, absolutely. And even at the different ambassadors here through the County of Los Angeles, this inhumanity that's occurring is totally unacceptable in the 21st century as we see it today.
And I've been a chaplain with the sheriff department for years. I remember you from being the captain or the commander downstairs.
Correct.
At our facility. And what were some of the difficulties you had to face, and you know about that the chaplains has to go through because of the negligence of the inmates? Will you make a change? Because for me, an inmate is a human being created by God, and is a human. I mean, even though he's being punished, but he deserves a chance. What is your take on it? What is your direction on it?
I exposed the corruption that happened in Men's Central Jail and the beatings and everything that was occurring. It was totally unacceptable. I'm the one that went to the FBI to expose the problems and make all the changes. But I got to tell you, and I thank you for your service, but the biggest advocate that we have are our clergy council within Men's Central Jail. I think we have about 1,200 members, and they bring peace. They bring calm, they bring serenity to the difficult issue of having to run a very complex jail. Inmates are inmates, but you're right, they're human beings. There's dignity and respect that still needs to be maintained, both on the side of law enforcement and on the side of the inmates.
And we need to build a bridge. We had started building the bridge between the community and the sheriff department. There is a certain animosity between individuals and the law enforcement for some reason. how would you change that culture? How would you change that understanding between the future generation that is so scared to become a member of law enforcement?
And that's shameful that that has to occur. What I need to have are more Armenian police officers, more Armenian reserve officers, just like Gary. And that's how we bridge the gap, by understanding the differences in the culture. And the biggest thing that I want to do is build more ambassadors into the communities. I need ambassadors from the Armenian community and all the Russian community and all the other communities out there to bring that information back to us. Because the only way I'm going to be successful is I have to listen to what the public wants, and I need to go ahead and build that bridge. It's up to me to build the bridge. I can't wait for the community to come to me.
Absolutely, and you would be able to designate deputies or representatives to the community that will, because in the past there were representatives, but the job was not done well. Honestly, I'm not trying to blame anybody, but the community was still
Well,
separated.
the past
Right.
is the past. Now,
Right.
now Bob
I'm
Olmsted is the future.
Absolutely.
He's got a great vision for the community. He's got a great vision for the department. Once he's elected sheriff, he's going to make a lot of changes from the first day. He's going to set the tone. He's going to make sure that his deputies work hand in hand with the community. I've said it before, I say it again. The community is the one that gives us the authority to put on our badges and to get up there and be effective in the community. Our biggest problem here is focusing on drugs at school, gangs, bullying, and all these things that the community needs to come up to leaders like Bob and tell him this is what our problems are, and he needs to address it with other local law enforcement agencies, work together, put some teams together, and and go out there and get it done.
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
And also, you heard Bob, what he said a few minutes ago. He does not tolerate injustice. I mean, when he saw a problem in the jails, he went ahead and he addressed it to the proper authority. He went to the FBI. You really think if we have injustice in our land overseas, in motherland, you think he's going to sit down and stay quiet? He's going to address it to the right people. Okay? He has the highest respect for the Armenian community. He is part of the Armenian community, and he's going to work with us hand in hand.
Because the most important is, as you said, the future generation, drugs, bullying. Bullying, I haven't studied too much, but I can talk about gangs and drugs, which is very important to address and to take the direction. Because nowadays, when the individual does one wrong, his future is basically messed up because of one mistake he did. And I don't know anybody that has done 100% everything right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And everybody has done something wrong in their life, but they didn't get caught.
Yeah.
So how would you approach that issue? Finally, there are 99 of the, I could say, okay, 60% of the people, maybe they done one mistake, they've fallen into the trap, and now they don't have a chance. How would you address that problem?
Tolerance and forgiveness has got to come into play.
Right.
At some point, we finally learn to either outgrow it, or we get a mentorship program that we are allowed to then go ahead and address the issues from a mentoring standpoint. You, for example, are an outstanding mentor from the standpoint of people can come to you, the community come to you, based on the goodness of your job. And I need to do the exact same thing. I need to reach out to the community and say, I too can be a mentor. And I can get guys like Gary as reserve component here to the department, which is extremely critical, and they too can be a mentor. And most importantly, the more Armenian deputies I can get to come into the LA County Sheriff's Department, they too can be mentored and take my message right back out to the community.
And Gary, what role are we going to play in the election? Can we talk a little bit about the election? I mean, how do people vote and where do they have to go?
The primary is June 3rd. I support Bob Olmsted because he's a man of principle, he's a man of integrity. The man does not tolerate injustice. He gets up and he talks the talk and walks the walk. He does not play the games. Bob Olmsted has a reputation on the Sheriff's Department, and many people on the department respect him and they honor him. And we're working together right now to get him elected. Many people in the community don't know Bob, but through people like you, Bedros, you've been around the Sheriff's Department a long time. All right, we need to introduce him to the community. We need to market his vision. We need to get out there and promote his vision, what he wants to do for not only our community, for all the communities in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I've been a chaplain since 1994, I believe.
Yes.
And while I was a chaplain, I've seen lots of injustices in the jail system. And I've seen good deputies, bad deputies. I've seen good captains, bad captains. I've seen captains that are pro-change, and I've seen some that are against these people changing. And I can vouch for one thing. I know you are for change because you're the one who went and tried to change the system, what's going on.
Well, let me add something on top of that.
Right.
During his time as the guy in charge of the jails, the 25% reduction in the complaints, it went down 25% under his leadership in the jail.
And when is it that you walked away?
I retired in November of 10.
2010.
And in January of 11 is when I went to the FBI and reported the corruption and injustice. And that's when the FBI went in and took a look at all the civil rights issues and problems that were going on in the organization. And I'll tell you this, I do not tolerate injustice, whether it's injustice in my jails, injustice with the deputies on the street, injustice with law enforcement in general in California, or injustice as we see overseas as well.
You know what I have noticed? I mean, I've read the newspapers, and just like the gangsters, they say, oh, snitch. They're talking whistleblower. What do you mean whistleblower? If the law enforcement is not for justice, if we're not standing for justice, what do they mean by whistleblower?
The whistleblower, the term itself, I don't like.
It's a derogatory.
It's a derogatory term.
Right.
But look it up in the dictionary. It says in there, it's a whistleblower, somebody who reports corruption and injustice. That being said, that's exactly what we want from our children. That's exactly what we want from the men and women in the LA County Sheriff's Department.
Right. What drove you to that point? I mean, you've been in the system for years and years. What drove you to that point? I mean, what made you have enough of it? I mean, was it escalating?
What pushed me over the edge is when I heard that two groups of deputies were fighting each other. Deputies fighting deputies at a Christmas party. Good deputies being beaten up by bad rogue gang.
I remember that it was all over the news. Some of them were arrested. 3,000 gang.
Yes, that's what pushed me over the edge. Nobody was helping the good men and women on the department. Nobody is helping the good men and women in the community. That's why I'm running for sheriff. I need to build that public trust. I need to get the transparency back, and the only way I'm going to do it is reaching out to the community with grassroots processes. And I thank you so much for allowing me to come on and address this today.
And because we're at 9:52, we don't have more than 8 minutes. I would like to talk about the election time and place.
Sure.
So people may be involved. And I would also like to talk about those that want to support. Where do they go? Those that want to do fundraising, who do they approach?
You can go to my website, bobolmsted.com. You'll have all the information you need for me on there, up to and including I'm the only candidate that has a reform plan that's published and comprehensive. 17 pages of exactly what I'm going to do to change the department around.
Right.
The other part is Gary is helping out. Gary is my go-to guy here. You can reach out to Gary anytime, and Gary will go ahead and carry the torch for me as well as far as coordinating a lot of the stuff I need to get done.
Maybe Gary can talk about that.
Well, I think the community knows me very well, although I'm not in uniform tonight. And I haven't been in uniform for a few weeks now because I'm done with it. But you've got my phone number. I'll give it to our viewers as well. It's 626-695-0666. And before I move in, I want you to know that our heart goes to the families back home. You know, they're all in our thoughts and prayers. I hope things will change. I know nothing is going to happen overnight, but with what you guys are doing, I applaud you for what you guys are doing, whether it's protesting in front of the Turkish consulate or whatever you guys are doing. I know we have our own work to do and you have your own work to do, but I want you to know that we are all on the same page.
That's right.
We all don't tolerate injustice.
And injustice is taking place right now in Kesab, Syria. Aleppo, Syria, Armenians.
Well, this
just
is-
because they're Christians, they're being killed.
Yep.
And I'm sure everybody's aware of it,
Yep.
and by Turks and Turkey.
Shameful.
It's a shameful act, but
Well, I don't know why our government is not stepping up to the plate and doing something about it, and this is really sad. You know, our Washington, D.C. should be sending John Kerry over there to figure out what's going on, not go to Russia and meet with, you know, the Russian.
well, I guess because they're helpless people, so they don't care. There's no pipelines or oil, petrol money on that.
We don't know. We don't know about that.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe I'm talking too heavy, but
It's
No,
okay.
you might be right.
But to come back to our election, like I said, the primary is on June 3rd. If anybody wants to introduce Bob to a group of people, he wants to invite him to church, he wants to invite him to your meetings, please get a hold of me. I will arrange that. I'll have Bob come attend, come speak to the people, come speak to the children, come speak to the community. We're over there again. My phone number is 626-695-0666. And my email address is GaryNalbandian@verizon.net.
anybody else needs Gary's phone, everyone has my phone number. They can call me direct and I can transfer the phone to you and I can give your number. Cell phone number is okay, I suppose. So you can answer.
Of course.
Everybody knows my number. Ովևէ մեկը որ գուզե Գերի հետ կապի մեջ մտնալ, կրնային ցերքի սերացայնել, անոն որ անգլերեն չեն հասկնար, մի քանի բառ հայերենով եմ, ուրեմն մեր գողքն է Bob Olmsted, որ շերիֆի տեխնազու է եւ հայ community-ին ընկերն է, բարեկամ է, ոչ թե
Մդերին բարեկամ,
մդերին
շատ
բարեկամ, ոչ թե
բարեկամ։
խոսքով, այլ մդերին բարեկամ։ Եթե այսօր ինքը շերիֆը ըլլար, ինչ որ կգադարվեր, որ մեր հայերու հետ Սուրիայի մեջ federal government-ին արչեվը գլար խոսած գլար միջև այսօր։ Ուրեմն շատ պետք ունենք ծեր օգնության, որ այսպիսի տեխնազուներ ունենանք մեր մեջ, որ կկարողանան մեր կորձը առաջ տանել դուրս եւ ներս, այսինքն մեր համայնքի համար եւ մեր երդասարտության համար։ I had to explain a little bit about in English, I mean in Armenian. So finally, the date of the
The primary is on June 3rd. We need the Armenian community to get up and vote for Bob Olmsted, vote for a leader that will bring the department back on the right track.
June 3rd, and places where they go, the people, or they
Booting, regular.
this will be
yeah,
announced.
Of
This will be
course.
announced and the ballots coming
Yeah,
out.
ballot
They'll
comes
be
out.
mailed out to the voters.
So ballot-ները ամեն մարդ կստանա, ballot-ները որ կստանաք շերիֆի տեխնազուի համար գրնակ ընդրել Bob Olmsted, որ հայ community-ի մդերին բարեկամն է եւ ինչպես որ առաջ Գերի Նալբանդյանին գիտեք բոլորդ, Գերի Նալբանդյանը բավականին մեծ բրիջը սկսավ հաստատել մեր եւ շերիֆ դիպարտմենտի մեջ, ասկեց մեյուգես 2 տարի առաջ, որ մեծ ցայն հանեց եւ մեծ աշխատանք դարվավ եւ չեն գուզեր այդ բրիջը գդրվի, գուզենք այդ բրիջը շարունակվի, շատ կարեւոր է, երդասարտությունը չի վախնա law enforcement-ին, երդասարտությունը եւ law enforcement-ը իրար ճշտամի չլան, շատ կարեւոր ասի, երդասարտը open-ը լա, ինչ կորձ որն է, կարեւոր չէ law enforcement-ը լա, երդասարտը կարողանա ապրիլ որպես model citizen այս երկրի մեջ եւ անոնք որ արդեն թշպախտության մեջ են ծայրահեղական ցեվով չի լուծվի այդ հարցերը so այդ bridge-ը ստեղծվեր էր արդեն
Exactly. You have Haji Seward, they can vote throughout the whole county of Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
only in Pasadena or Glendale, the whole county. So if they have relatives that live in Burbank, they have relatives that live in North Hollywood, they have relatives that live in San Dimas or Glendora or all the way up to Palmdale, Lancaster. It's all part of LA County. They all vote for county sheriff.
Ընդրության համար շերիֆի ընդրության համար բոլոր Los Angeles County-ի մեջ կրնագնդրել որը մեկ Hollywood կապրիս North Hollywood կապրիս Northridge կապրիս Pasadena բոլոր LA County-ի sheriff department-ը բոլորի ներկայացուցիչն է եւ ովը մեկ կրնագերտալ sheriff department-ի համար ընդրել Bob Olmsted-ին եւ քվեարկության մեջ primary մեջ որ ինքը առաջ երթա ուրեմն եւ սենցեզի I would like to say it in Armenian and English առաջ հայերենս եմ շերիֆի տեխնազուն որ գնդրվի շերիֆ այս երկրի ամենազորավոր law enforcement-ի թերը կգադարի ամենազորավոր եւ այդ եթե մենք ունենանք բարեկամը որ մեր community-ը բարեկամ է այդպիսի թեր գադարու մենք բավականին առաջ կացած գլանք այս խնդրի մեջ
Correct. Bob always says, you know, I'm not an Armenian, but
Right.
Armenia was born in me. He says we have the similar values. We're all honest. We're all hardworking people. We're all don't tolerate injustice. So
We have 1 minute, Bob. I would like to give you your final word so you can address it to people about the election.
Well, first I want to thank you for the
No problem.
valuable service you do for
Thank
the
you.
inmates at Men's Central Jail.
Thank you.
Without your effort, it would be a much, much harder job to do. But I'd like to thank everybody out there. I tell you from this, and I say this honestly, that if you give me 1% of your trust, I'll earn the other 99. This job is important. It's important to vote. I do not tolerate injustice. I'm the one that exposed all the problems. I'm anxious to take on the job as sheriff, but I can't do it without the grassroots, the people, the Armenian community. I need your help. Please help me. Thank you very much.
Gary?
well, I love my community. We have one of the greatest and the most respected communities, and we're all hardworking people. And I'm sure our people will make the right decision. Come June 3rd, they'll get up there and they'll vote for Bob Olmsted for sheriff.
Ուրեմն որովհետև մեր ժամը վերջացավ, սիրելի հայրենակիցներ, հավասիկ տեսանք շերիֆի տեխնազու Բաբ Օմստեդ, կրնակ բոլորդ քվեարկել Բաբ Օմստեդին հունիս 3-ի քվեարկության համար։ Եվ հաջորդ հարցը, որ վերջի հարցը, առաջի հարցը, որ խոսեինք, հեսաբի հարցը հերացանից թիվը հոս է 62625 կրնակ ինձ հերացանել կամ այդ հարցով կամ գերեի հերախոսի համար, որ այդ մնացած հարցերով ինքը արդեն այդ պատասխանները կտա։ Որովհետև մեր ժամանակը վերջացավ. Thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you.
Շնորհակալ ենք, որ եկաք.
Thank you for your time. I hope you'll get us again on the show soon.
We will for sure. Շնորհակալ ենք, միջև քաշապատ ասված ես հետ։